we are deeply honored to welcome Liz Hirsh Naftali, hostage and humanitarian advocate, author, and most notably, the great aunt of former hostage Abigail Moore Edan, who will share brief reflections with us. Ms. Naftali has been a tireless and courageous advocate, a true moral voice, in keeping the plight of the hostages at the forefront of public consciousness through her compassion and perseverance. She has ensured that this issue remains not a matter of politics, but humanity. Her work has galvanized support across party lines, uniting communities and leaders in a shared mission to bring every hostage home. Beyond her advocacy, Liz has also used the power of storytelling to inspire hope and connection through her recently published book, Saving Abigail. She invites readers to see the world through a lens of empathy, faith, and courage, the same values that have guided her in her public efforts. Her voice reminds us that empathy and moral conviction can transcend partisanship and inspire collective action. These values lie at the heart of AJC's mission and today's discussion.
Hi, good afternoon. It is truly an honor to be with all of you and to be with American Jewish Committee, an organization I deeply revere and honor. Before I begin, I want to pause for a moment that holds both heartbreak and relief. Today, as we are still waiting for 8 hostages to come home, including American Israeli Itai Chen, yesterday 3 beautiful men were returned to Israel, among them Omer Nutra, a young American Israeli hero, a son, a brother, a soldier, and a symbol of courage and kindness. This afternoon, we hold his parents, our friends Orna and Rona Nutra, and his brother Daniel close in our hearts as they bury their beloved son with dignity, love, and honor. May Omer and all of our deceased hostages' memories forever be a blessing, and may their light continue to guide us forward even in our darkest days. A few weeks ago, my family held a memorial for my niece Smadar and her husband Roe, who were murdered in front of their children on the morning of October 7, 2023. That morning, their son Michael, age 9, and their daughter Amalia, age 6, hid in a closet for 14 hours, alone, in the dark, hearing grenades explode and voices in Arabic shouting in their home, while their mother's body lay only a few feet away. Their little sister Abigail, just 3 years old, crawled out from beneath her father's body. Covered in his blood, she ran through a war zone and was kidnapped into Gaza, an orphan for 51 days, a hostage. I wrote my book, Saving Abigail, to memorialize that day and to honor what it revealed about all of our vulnerability, our humanity, and our strengths. As I speak today before your session on confronting global challenges, I want to say this clearly. What began as my family's story has become a mirror of our shared global struggle to provide truth, to preserve humanity, and to insist that moral clarity still matters. There are moments I still cannot comprehend. How was there no one to protect my niece and nephew and over 1,200 children, men, women, and grandparents murdered that morning? How was my niece Smadar, my beautiful niece Smadar, one of 48 Americans killed in front of her children in their home that day, left defenseless? How was 3-year-old Abigail, one of 35 children under the age of 18 and one of 250 hostages altogether, allowed to be stolen into Gaza by the very Hamas terrorists who killed both of her parents? And yes, how could Israeli leaders vote against the very deals that might have brought Abigail and other children home sooner? As a Jewish woman, an aunt, and an American, and as someone who loves Israel deeply, I ask these questions over and over, not out of anger, but out of a shared responsibility. Because 51 days in captivity is 51 days too many for any 3-year-old child. Because 738 days, the number it took to free the last living hostages, is an eternity. because silence when it comes to the truth is not loyalty, it is failure. I often think about what would have happened if people had not fought for Abigail, if world leaders had turned away. I know in my heart that if President Joe Biden, President Donald Trump, and a bipartisan Congress had not acted, Abigail and all of the living hostages might not be alive today. If not for President Biden, Abigail might have met the same fate as Ariel and Kfir Bibas, two innocent children murdered by terrorists, along with their mother, Shiri. If not for President Trump, another young man, an American, Edon Alexander, might never have come home. These are not political statements. They are truths. They remind us that when leaders choose courage and compassion, lives are saved. So many people stood side by side across faiths and continents to bring one little girl home and to remind the world what humanity can achieve when it chooses courage over cynicism. Amid all the anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism on the rise on our streets and in our cities, we did not let hate stop us from truth-telling, tough conversations across aisles and seas, and we did not give up our moral obligation to fight for life, all lives. This is about the courage to believe that even after unimaginable tragedy, healing is still possible. It's about Abigail, now growing up surrounded by love, and her siblings, who live each day with a quiet hope and yet with the shadow of their missing parents. It's about the people I've met, Jewish, Christian, and Muslim, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, students, pastors, and ambassadors, a world of leaders, each carrying pain, yet also kindness and grace. It's about finding unexpected and remarkable allies, feeling the heartbreak of silence from others we thought would stand by us. And we still choose love. Every time I see a photo of Abigail, the one I first shared with the world, I'm reminded of my purpose. To tell her story, to tell all of our story, and to make sure that her future and the future of all Abigails in Israel, Gaza, the Gulf, and the world is safer, kinder, and filled with light and love. American Jewish Committee is an organization that not only believes in these values, but lives them every day. AJC has been integral in the fight to free hostages and in making advocacy for families and survivors possible in Washington, D.C. and around the world. AJC created pathways for hostage families and survivors, representing over 30 nations and 5 religions, to meet with governments and leaders, turning unbearable grief into meaningful action. No other organization has invested so deeply in this mission, building bipartisan trust and reaching the hearts and minds of leaders on Capitol Hill. That is moral leadership that we need more of, and is why I stand here today deeply grateful, side by side with all of you. Thank you, Ted Deutsch, and thank you to all the AJC team, especially all of the folks here in DC. You made hundreds of our meetings. You sat with us in chaotic cafeterias and held our broken moments, shattered dreams, and exhausted hands, showering us and our purpose in the darkest moments with love and grace. I am grateful to all of you here today who volunteered tirelessly for AJC. You have all made AJC nothing short of miraculous, fighting for hostages and their families, for the Jewish people, and for humanity itself. My family still needs answers. Abigail, Amalia, and Michael, they deserve to know why their parents were murdered. My sister-in-law, Shlomi, deserves to know why her daughter was left unprotected and her granddaughter stolen. My niece, Liron, and her husband, Zoli, and their 3 children deserve to know why they were cowering in fear as Hamas terrorists came in and out of their home, burned houses around them, and killed their neighbors for over 24 hours before they were rescued. And like so many families, I need to know how this could have happened to my personal family and to my extended Jewish family, and why 2 years later, there's still been no investigation. If we love Israel, and I do deeply, we must be willing to look honestly at its failures, to ask the hard questions, to demand the truth, Because love is not silence. Love is accountability. Dr. Martin Luther King once said, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. That to me is the essence of the resilience. And it's what this moment requires of all of us. We may not all move at the same pace, but we must all move together, forward together, towards justice, towards peace, and towards a future where Jewish life is safe and thriving, where truth once again means something. Let me end with a story, one that reminds me every day why I keep speaking. After Abigail came home, I took her and the family and the children to Disneyland. We went on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, and the loud sounds like bombs, they terrified Abigail. Her little body shook in panic, because for 51 days she had lived under the sounds and force of explosions by IDF for those days when she was hidden in a dark room in Gaza. The building where the Hamas terrorists hid her had actually collapsed around her one day, and somehow she and the other children who were all hostages survived. Then we went across the park, straight to the It's a Small World ride. As we floated through, surrounded by children from every nation singing and dancing, little Abigail stood up in the boat, transfixed. The music was the same, but every child sang it in their own language. She looked around at the colors, the costumes, the smiles, and I could see the wonder and the sparkle in this beautiful little girl's eyes. In that moment, I realized that is what we are all fighting for. A world where children can simply be children, where it really is a small world, bound not by hate or fear, but by wonder, possibility, love, and shared humanity. From the first day I arrived in Washington, D.C., after October 7th, and held up Abigail's photo till now, our mission has not changed: to tell the truth, to honor the resilient, and to believe in hope. Because Saving Abigail, the name of my book, Saving Abigail and Saving Us are the same vision, and both begin with courage, compassion, and commitment to never stop moving forward. Thank you.